first real serious grower I ever met in my life is the man I'm about to introduce. He's our senior cultivation editor. He's taking over our Q&A column from Jorge Cervantes starting in the December issue. And I just had the great pleasure of touring Northern California during harvest season with Mr. Danko, and he took me to a few places where we saw plants twice as tall as we are, which, you know, we're both about 5'4". So they're under 10 feet tall, but they were very tall plants. A colleague, a gentleman, a botanist, a great friend of cannabis, and a great friend of mine, Danko.
Yeah. So you go from buying bags, you know, and then you realize, hey, I can create this myself, and I don't really need that much space. I mean, I've seen people make a 1/4 pound in a 2 by 2 foot closet with a 250 watt light, you know, that really didn't know what they were doing too much. So, and that's nice for a personal stash, you know, for the next 3 months, and then, you know, you do it again. Because I would recommend, I don't know, no less than a 5-gallon bucket, really, if you're growing with like a soil mix, even hydroponically. Give the plants room, give the roots room to grow, and the plant will grow as big as the roots grow. So you're really feeding them, and I think also it depends hydroponically or you know, organically in soil. But I think mycorrhizae and the beneficial microbes that you can add if you're growing organically, I think they exponentially help your soil to be living soil, and then those beneficial microbes feed the roots and break down the nutrients into small enough particles so the roots can take them in. And that's why I'm such a big believer in compost tea and compost extracts for outdoor growers especially. And that just really consists of taking compost and guanos and things. You know, you mix your own kind of custom system and aerate it, so it steeps for, you know, an hour or two in some water, a big jug or whatever, big bucket or barrel. You steep it, and then overnight you aerate it with oxygen, like you would a fish tank. You just let, and that oxygen takes those millions of beneficial microbes and turns them into billions. You know, really just supercharges any organic soil. And the other great thing about it is you foliar feed with it during the vegetative stage, and it actually really does absorb into the leaves and shows much more growth levels. But that's the important thing, is you feed your roots, give them enough room, and roots need oxygen. They don't just need water and nutrients. And a lot of people overwater their plants, or they let them sit in, stagnant water at the bottom for a while. I really don't believe in that. I think the roots need to, the whole system needs to dry out. This is not a hydro system, but a soil system or soilless mix system. It needs to dry out just to the point of just starting to dry in the first couple of inches, and then be hand watered or watered at that time. It shouldn't always be wet or soaked.
And Dan, maybe you could finish off with what are some signs of a healthy root system?
Well, in hydro, you can see it a lot better. I mean, in soil, it's tough to tell. In hydro, the roots are bone white. They're like fish bones. You just see tons of little rootlets coming off of the larger root. And if there's a tap root, there should just be constant, you can almost see the roots grow in aeroponic or a really good hydroponic system. And, you know, if they start to go dark, you know, then you know you've got some kind of a problem arising. Either the water's too warm, and you're getting pathogens, you're getting, basically the roots in a hydro system, it's really tough to keep the water cool enough to avoid problems with root rot, and there's even bugs that will attack the roots at a certain heat level in hydroponics. I mean, it makes it difficult sometimes with hydro. You really got to have a chiller sometimes in the reservoir to cool the water to a level where, okay, 65 or whatever, the roots can take it. But if it's 80-degree water, the plants are going to die pretty quickly. And to follow up, in soil, the sign of a good root system is that it when it reaches the bottom, the taproot makes its way to the bottom and then works its way around, and you fill up the whole bucket with roots, so that at the end, when you pull the plant out and it's finished, it's root bound, even in a 5 gallon or a 10 gallon or however big you want to go. If you pull it out at the end and there's just a root ball at the top and then not really much roots away from there that went down, it's probably a sign of overwatering or flowering too early and just not letting the system develop. Something went wrong in that case, and that's when you just get a root ball you can pull right out and it doesn't give. This is after you've cut the plant down and everything.
Do we have another question?
Yes, sir. I've heard about a technique called LST. Can you just describe it and maybe compare it to some other techniques such as super cropping or maybe topping?
Yeah, there's a lot of different techniques that you can use basically to get more out of a plant by topping it, by weighing it down, by pinching tops to create more new shoots, and thus you're getting more from your plant. And a lot of times, especially in states with medical marijuana laws, you have plant limits, so you have to get the most out of every plant. And part of that is to give it time to vegetate, give it time to grow a root system, and up top, above the roots, you either pinch, to make 2 shoots out of one. You can bend, you can weigh them down. I've seen people use like sinkers that you use for fishing and just weigh down a branch early on. This is, talking real early in the veg cycle, or you just use string and somehow just train it to go out because it's going to go up, LST is more, that's low stress technique or yeah. LST, I believe, is like, there's hormones in the plant basically that tell the top to be the top, and that top grows. If that top is somehow brought lower than the other tops, so by using weight or bending or whatever without breaking it, if you bend it and then suddenly the other tops are higher, auxins, which are like almost like pheromones in people, are sent from the top of the plant to the bottom and everything, that now I'm going to grow not like a Christmas tree with one big top, but now the top is gone. The other branches think that the top is gone, and they all want to be the top now, and they all become tops. So, and all that requires is, it's just gravity. The top has to bend lower than the other tops, and then they all become tops. And that's really one of the ways people are getting huge yields in NorCal and all over because of the plant limits. Now that coincides with them being able to put the plants in full sunlight. And that's the other key. They're getting the plants ready in February, March. By the time April, May, and June rolls around, June's a little late, but by the time those months when you're putting the plant in the ground roll around, it's already my height, 4 or 5 feet tall. So then it's gonna veg throughout the summer, through July and August, and then start flowering. By that time, it's a monster. We've seen some really big plants because of the full sun. That's why I think, we gotta come out from indoors eventually. When things get legal, I really think people should just grow outdoor, organic,